Hello and welcome back. We've got a new playthrough series starting here with Silent War version 2. So about a decade ago, I probably picked up Silent War 1 and set it up and played it for a fairly decent amount of time. Really enjoyed the game, but I have this very distinct memory of feeling like with the amount of counter manipulation you had to do and other things, that it was sort of like playing out the submarine war in a one-to-one time scale, and it was going to take me 5 years to actually get through the campaign game. Well, flash forward to a couple of months ago, and my brother decided he wanted to build a tabletop simulator mod for Silent War with the permission of Compass Games. And he's actually a very good programmer, certainly much better than I am. And he set about creating an absolutely astonishing tabletop simulator mod for Silent War 2, which has made it significantly easier to play the game at a pretty good clip by automating a lot of that sort of manual manipulation. So we're actually going to play through the Desperate Pearl scenario. The first video in the series, the one you're watching right now, however, will also act as an introduction to the tabletop simulator mod that he's created, which should be available by the time this video comes out or shortly thereafter. And there will be a link in the description of the video for where you can go find that tabletop simulator mod. But if you're interested in this game at all, I definitely urge you to go check out that mod because it's amazing. My brother did an absolutely amazing job on it. So why don't you start by walking us through setup in the module, which
real quickly,
huge time saver,
monstrous time saver. As of right now, I've got I think 3 different scenarios set up in here, but going to continue to add more. Got the Desperate Pearl short campaign, which if you want to try the set it up yourself, you can do the user manual setup. Gives you the ability to pull any subs, set it up however you want, or you can play the long campaign. And we have a couple of different options right now for the long campaign 1 and long campaign 2.
Awesome.
So effectively select those. Today we're just going to do the Desperate Pearl. Less subs, we can get through a lot more that way. And then the only other decision you have to make is, do you want to include the IJN functionality or not? Effectively, you turn it off, and when you do, all the IJN things like this IJN events over here on the right, that'll disappear. The game will not automate IJN functionality. But if you decide to include it, which we definitely will, then the game will automate a lot of the IJN functionality. So I highly recommend people read the cards. Gives a lot of information on how to take advantage of things, which we'll show today. The only other thing I'm going to show here is I'm going to pull in a bag that has some personal items that I've scanned in, some charts that right now the game publisher isn't allowing to be included in the module, but I find helpful to have on the game. Some charts that I don't want to have to be pulling up PDFs and so forth. So it's going to set those up and delete the cards and set it up the way that I like it. Obviously, people can pull in their own charts as well. So we're going to get going. Just hit setup.
Perfect. So now it's doing a ton of stuff.
Yeah, well,
it's like, I mean, I'm just amazed by what it's doing, right? I mean, it's
doing a lot. Now, again, it's placed some of our personal things.
Yeah.
So some of the things that I really like having are, there's combat events down here. There's the war events down here. This little chart over here, I think we'll show is incredibly time saving in terms of executing combat.
Yeah.
But so those are special for us, but it has gone through and pulled all the subs that are on the sub schedule to come into the game and placed them on this sub entry table.
Yep.
And it's put them by month, by year. It has set up bags with, up at the top here, it has bags with aircraft carriers, battleships, and all the different Japanese chits, but it is also, knowing that it is War Phase 1, it's automated filling the cups for you. So it's now got all your war mix.
Right.
It has taken the IJN units and separated them into all the different IJN units. And I think those are the key things. Well,
cool.
Obviously, it's done setup on the map.
Yep.
A couple of things that I've added into this module that were not in the game, just because I found them useful. They just helped me a lot as I was playing, especially like, for instance, Desperate Pearl. I couldn't remember what areas you could go into and not. So I added an invalid marker, and the game puts those down so you know that's not a valid area.
Yep.
I've added a couple of markers. You know, the game designer recommends reshuffling the war mix at least every 2 months. So I just threw in a little marker to remind you when you get 2 months down, reshuffle, and then you can move that out. Quite honestly, I doubt there's any reason not to reshuffle every month if you chose to.
Yeah, I mean, especially since it's completely automated now. I mean, the main reason not to reshuffle is it takes a while, but since you can just literally hit a button and it reshuffles, like, yeah, you could do it every month if you wanted to.
Yep. There's a couple of other little items we'll add, which we'll talk about as we go through.
Okay.
But the game is, with those, choosing the scenario, deciding an IJN, and saying set up, we were ready to play.
Yeah, I know.
3 minutes ago.
I mean, it took a little while to load over here. You were done before I was, but all right. So there's so we're gonna play through a couple of turns of Desperate Pearl here. We're gonna mildly explain what we're doing, but we're not gonna teach the game. But we are gonna pause a lot to teach how to use certain features of the module, which we think really make things go a lot faster. And so then just a couple of things, just so people know. We tend to roll the dice in bunches just to speed up the checking of results. So usually when we're rolling on this map, the left die is going to apply to the first unit we're dealing with. The right die is going to apply to the second unit we're dealing with. If we're rolling for, if there's sequential rolls, like you roll for, did they find something, and then what did they find? We always read the green die first, and we'll talk about the contact one when we get over there. But why don't we jump right in? I mean, so just to set expectations, when we did a little shakedown cruise on this yesterday, I think, right?
Yep.
And in the first turn, maybe the first 2 turns, we sunk like we were up to 40 tons in 2 turns. So anything less than that is going to be a massive disappointment.
I really wish we could have just recorded that
it's
one.
A shame.
It a day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we'll do is we'll cheat a lot, and I'll fix it in the edit.
That was epic.
Yes. All right. So the first thing we do this turn, we're skipping a bunch of stuff that we'll get to next turn. But the first thing we do this turn, oh no, we don't even do this next. We just basically start.
No, we do. We do.
Oh, we do. Okay.
We skip the strategic segment, so we don't do war event. In this Desperate Pearl, we never do torpedo improvement.
Yeah.
We're also skipping ultra and weather. But we do the triple R segment. So we're gonna obviously no reinforcements, but we're gonna check for ready subs. And we're gonna, so effectively the only thing that means is we're gonna check and see if these 2 move forward in repair.
Yep.
And gonna move these guys out to sea.
Yep. And so and I will say, having brought that up, for anyone watching, the drinking game is, if we complain about the torpedoes, drink. And trust me, you'll get plenty drunk, plenty quick.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready here too. Because from experience, it is a real illustration of why the torpedoes in the early war were frustrating as hell. Yeah. All right, so we got
damn torpedoes more than once.
We got 2 subs, and let's see if we can get the narwhal out of dry dock in less than
It take us like 9 weeks to get it to move 1 box.
Yeah, 9 weeks.
Hey-o!
So the narwhal. So again, narwhal on top. So he's the green die. So he moves, and the
Gashlot is he's pretty. He's
and so he's we love these subs because we have a great use for them, but they're pretty crappy comparatively. So this is okay.
P class subs are significantly.
Yeah. So the way we tend to do this is we tend to deal with kind of the subs on patrol first, and then at the end we send out the subs that are ready to go from Pearl. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go. We'll start in the marshals, and we'll deal with that first. And so just to remind, so basically, if we don't get a task force result, and that's over here. So if we don't get a 7 or better, we just kind of on the blue die, we just kind of ignore this.
Doesn't matter what the green die is on this.
Yeah.
This is for Triton, and he has nothing.
So but he stays.
Well, he stays anyway because there's no endurance.
Okay, and then the Timbre.
Yep.
Well,
he's nothing.
He got nothing because it's not a task force. So now we go to Midway.
Midway.
We'll see if we can get a task force at Midway. No.
Nope. See,
this is part of why we got 41 tons yesterday. Is we did a lot better at contact in these two zones yesterday.
Just found a little cruiser.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So then we're rolling here. This is similar. It's only task forces, right?
Although this is similar. The one thing I'll point out, and this is not a module function, but there's this one section down here that also tells you the only thing we care about because of the scenario right now is a task force. But if we find a task force, all we care about is column D.
Right. All right. So let's just see if anybody finds a task force here.
Oh, we had one.
It's under your hand. Your hand knocked it over. All right. So that's the first one. So he then just goes back to the broom box.
He effectively, and we could flip him over and do it during the transit, but I'm just going to simply move him to Pearl and into the.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. Although that's Brisbane.
Oh, well, that would be useless. Nope.
2. This is going to be the fastest first turn in history.
Oh my gosh.
We're never going to get to show off any features of this module because we're never going to encounter anything.
You're right. Oh, nope, you are right.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Next turn. So now, so basically that's everybody. So now we just move the Tautog out, but he's going to go do more normal patrolling. So just to if anybody's not super familiar with the game, on the patrol side, which is the blue side, they can move 2 spaces, right? Or actually, they can move up to that number.
The number of spaces that are on there, so that they can move 2. For instance, this unit can move 3.
Okay, so they can move the number that's in yellow there. When they're on their patrol side, they can only move 1. And then they're also less likely to have what's called a transit event when they're on their patrol side. So we're going to move. So where do you want to move him? Should we, move him to the North Pacific or the Marshals?
There are the Marshals.
So essentially, we're going to move him through, through transfer route and into the Marshals. And the reason we do that is because we have to roll for transit events. And transit events are only going to occur if we get a red roll there. So we don't want to go through Pearl because it's higher. So yeah. So and we get a -1 because he's on blue.
Exactly.
And then, but then we are allowed to flip him to his gray side, and that just allows us to patrol next turn.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. So that's basically turn 1. Quite
regardless
boring.
of how many areas you move through, when you're in transit, you only roll once on whatever area had the most red boxes.
That's right.
So in our case, we went here and then here, so we were rolling effectively for a transit in the.
All right. So we whipped through the first turn with literally nothing happening. So now we can actually follow the sequence of play, and which is up here, and we can go through everything. So that starts with rolling for a war event. So if I roll a 3 or less, we get a war event. Well, there you go.
You have one.
And I roll again.
War event period is down here.
So it's a 4 on the war event table.
No roll on the ultra table this turn.
All right. So we don't
forget the first time I say damn torpedoes.
Yes. So we would roll on ultra right now, but we're not going to because of our war event. So, but we roll for weather, and so I'm not going to go over.
I don't think that's going to kill us, by the way, because we only have 1 sub on patrol.
Yeah, exactly. And weather right now we'll only have to deal with weather if I roll a 0. I rolled a 7. We don't. So now we deal with reinforcements. Actually, we should move this. We're on week 3, right?
Move that to week 3. Yep. So now we're going to actually.
Okay, so now we come over here, and so we're going to roll to see what happens with all these subs. So we'll go through the broom box first.
So again, green. So he did not, and these are on the wrong side, but he was a 5.
Yep.
So the 8 failed, but the 2 worked.
We'll do that. So yeah. So basically, if we roll under that number in the top right, they move to ready. If we roll above it, they don't. And then this one we're rolling for him and the narwhal. Oh, I guess I only rolled 1.
You're rolling for him.
All right. So then the green die is the narwhal. Look at that.
Oh.
Narwhal but racing.
He's done 2 weeks so far.
Yeah, but
Let's
the
see
thing
if we can
is
break this for
I cared last time because the narwhal is not a terrible sub. Like
No, he gives some serious defense.
I know, so I cared. So okay, so these guys then move because they're ready for sea. They move out there. All right, so the only person who can move this turn. Okay, so now now we move everybody up, and when we say we move everybody up, you can see like here you go from done to operating. So at this point we move everybody. All the subs are on the board. We move them up, so we know that they're ready. They can patrol and attack this turn. So why don't we go ahead and deal with Wake and Midway first? Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And I'm going to suggest the same thing: is do it, and then we'll get them off the map. They'll return to base.
Yep.
One shot.
So
nothing.
Timbre, nothing.
Timbre. He will be going through here.
So he needs to roll. Actually, let's do both of them because they're both going to return. Then we can just roll 2 dice for their transit events.
All right. So the Triton.
He got a task force.
Task force.
So an orange task force. So now we get to explain all the really cool combat setup and execution stuff.
Yeah. So I am going to pull this sub over.
So let me.
Here.
I'll do because I generally take care of this. I'm gonna walk through this, but just to be clear, you created all of this. I'm just bragging about it, right? All right. So we have an orange task force. So what that means is we're drawing 1 from Cup A, 2 from Cup B, 2 from Cup C, 3 from Cup D. Now, what's really cool is there's these things here where I can just go and I just hover over it and type in the numbers. I've forgotten the numbers already, so how am I going to remember?
1, 2, 2, 3.
1, 2, 2, 3, and then I click on Draw to Combat Display, and it just auto-populates the combat display for us. Absolutely fantastic. Such a time saver. It's just changes this game completely. Like, it's brilliant. All right, so now we have to decide what to do. And you've added these counters so we can choose, because there's the concept of posture is new in the 2.0 version of Silent War.
Exactly. And in my experience, typically if you're playing, especially if you have one sub, it might be easy to remember posture. If you had multiple wolfpack, I don't remember the rules actually. If wolfpacks can all have to share a posture.
So looking at this, I'm thinking maybe we line up here. We take a look at what's in here. Maybe we. The thing is, if we should go aggressive, because if we do find anything over here, we're going to probably need the -1, and we can reveal this rising sun because column C is often can have like big fatty cruisers and stuff.
And then.
All right, so before so now we're going to flip these, but before we flip these. Because if we flip them and it happens, it'll just happen. So explain what's going to happen with the IJN units as we flip these.
Yeah, so when the IJN was added, it basically takes the normal Silent War, certain Silent War chits that represent both the IJN units. And you would replace them with a random unit from the IJN.
But like a named ship.
A named ship, a true ship.
Yeah.
And
this just automates
specific rules. For instance, if we turn over in a Silent War carrier, we're going to go grab a carrier.
Right.
There are some rules about, if I turn over the Akagi, I can go pull either the Akagi or the Kaga. And so as you turn these over, the automation of grabbing the appropriate random chit from the IJN bag will occur. I will say the only piece that is not automated, because I really have done nothing about knowing what area you're coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there are rules about Japanese battleships, that cannot go outside of certain areas at certain times.
Right.
And so if you happen to get a battleship that shouldn't be there, it's going to be on you to move the units off to the side.
Right.
I would just move them off over into this green area, so when we clean things up, it'll automate. It'll just happen automatically.
Yep, and we'll show what clean. Okay, so hopefully this will happen, and I'm sure at some point we'll be able to show us putting a battleship aside. So do you agree? We basically reveal everything on C, everything on D, and then that guy.
Everything on C, D, and that guy. Yep.
All right. Agree. So start flipping them.
All right, well,
see
we'll
we get.
start over here. And
There
there's
you
our
go.
first IJN.
And great, we got the Hayashio. That's not good. That's not a good start. All right.
Oh
Oh,
my.
this is terrible. Well, at least we're just gonna like do this and duck.
Yeah.
So that's not too
If we're
bad.
lucky, we have some terrible markers and can't hit anything.
All right, so now let's actually talk about what we're seeing down here because we're going to actually start populating this. So this is like where you can put in all the modifiers, which allows you to kind of quickly analyze what you want to attack. So you want to kind of talk through this?
Yeah, so the idea is the top row represents everything related to the sub attack. These first four are the things that are the effectively calculating the sub attack, right?
So we put
have an
6
attack
in
value of
here.
6.
Oops, 6 in here because we have a sub attack of 6.
Right. Now, obviously, you can split the attack.
Right.
With these torpedoes, from our experience, it tends to not work very
So
well. But
having
just as
said
a
that,
reminder,
let's just add a -2 to the torpedo slot there.
there you go.
And very cool, I will note that this number doesn't actually get cleaned out because it changes so infrequently that once you set it, it'll stay there for a really long time.
That one will stay there. The other one, well, a couple of things will stay there. The sub attack value will stay while you're everything until you clean up.
Right.
Because it's assuming you're not a wolf pack.
Right.
The torpedo, as you said, the re-attack will be automatic.
Yep.
And then also the red boxes, if you set the number of red boxes in the area, which in our area,
1.
no, 1, yes.
So there's one red box.
And the sub defense is 3.
Right.
Those, if we do a re-attack, or if there's we had another attack, if we were
some of them stick around. So and the red boxes, just to be clear, they're like the inherent ASW in the C zone. So the biggest problem that we have is we've got 6 ASW on the board.
Yep.
And what's even better about this, just because we didn't even, is it'll all come over here and kind of tell you eventually kind of what you're on, what you've got to roll in order to hit, and what ASW row you'll be on when you're suffering a counterattack. So at this point, for no good reason, we're laying down TDCs.
Well, sadly, we may get a great TDC and force us to.
Yeah, and of course,
I don't think that's possible. So the other one we have a posture here of -1 because of the aggressive.
Yeah, and so on all these, it's like you right click to make it go up, you left click to make it go down.
Other way. Right click goes negative, left click goes positive. I don't know what. Well, it depends on which way up and down is. That's a good point.
Actually, yeah.
Yes.
So
you're right. If
you know what?
Click
on them. You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. The other thing is they will not let you go past. So, for instance, damage cannot. It has to be a negative number. It's either 0
TDC,
or 1. So
TDC can go from 0 to -3. You can't exceed the limit. So that's really cool. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So now the other thing is we've also. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to point out one other thing, which probably will not be at all used in this walkthrough. But you do find a scenario where, okay, now my torpedoes are good enough to split.
Yeah.
And I decided to go 4 and 2. So those counters are there. They do nothing other than there for you to remember.
Yeah.
They're there to help you remember how you allocate.
Yep. With our -2 torpedoes, I think we've split our torpedoes once in the entire time we've been playing this.
We have not done it often.
Yeah. So now the other thing is the placement of the TDCs was automated too. So you just click on a spot and it'll automatically draw a TDC for you. So I'm obviously we're going to put a TDC here and here, right?
Yep.
And they're face down because we found actually like that knowing them, you'd like might influence what you're doing. So then what?
They didn't. They're not that they might. They do.
Yeah, they do. We should probably put one on this guy here, right?
Yeah, and then I would say, between the two, I'd rather go the same column.
Yeah.
Well, I think the odds are low that will matter.
All right, so let's see what we got for TDCs. Well, okay, well, let's see. So we got a -3 TDC, 2 on the defense.
Oh, we have 1 column over.
But we have 1 column over, so no attack is possible. I'm gonna say I think that's a good thing. Now we've got the possibility of sliding over to this column, but we're still going to be facing 3 ASW.
Yeah.
So here's my actually. Let me do this. My curiosity is if we're only facing three, we're only on ASW row one if we do that. So if we slide over and we go say normal, we'd only be doing ASW row one with a +1. So if these two aren't awful, we'd be okay. But those two are rising suns. So I'm actually thinking we should just get out of here.
I agree. By the way, just to make sure, I know we're not spending a lot of time teaching the game, but that first round, if we decide not to take a shot, there is no counterattack.
Right, right. So
yeah, if we do a reattack,
you hearing that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Give me a second. Just
no problem. It's no big deal.
Go for it.
If we do a reattack, then whether we get a shot off or not, we get countered.
Right, exactly. So in the first round,
a lot of risk.
So in the first round, we're relying on the fact that we can't get a shot off, and we're just basically like avoiding the ASW counterattack. And then if we reattacked, we'd face it, which is when we don't want to. So I'm gonna hit cleanup, and basically that's gonna take everything off. It's so cool. It takes everything off the board. You can see like the torpedo value stayed because our torpedoes suck. Drink.
And they won't change for a long time.
Mm-mm. They won't change in this video for certain.
Oh yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay, and then we the sub is going. Now we got to roll for endurance for the sub.
No, because that was.
Oh, sorry. That's in. Yeah, he's automatically going back. So now what we can do is
probably going back anyway. But both of those have now.
We can roll 2 dice, and it's basically on a 8 or a 9, they both encounter something.
No, they have a -1.
Oh, because so they flip to their transit side and go back.
They do flip to their transit side, so this guy makes it.
Okay, so basically this guy doesn't. So we're gonna
roll. Triton has a transit event.
2 dice. So a 9 and a 3. So he's spotted, but he's spotted, which doesn't matter because he's on his way back.
Everyone watches him through binoculars as he rolls in.
Exactly. It's like, hey, look, a sub going back to base. Move on. All right, so now why don't we deal with midway, and then we can get into stuff where we're more likely to actually have stuff happen. So, Argonaut, nothing. Nothing. And now they have to go through Pearl to get back into.
They have to go through the Hawaiian Islands.
Or the Hawaiian Islands. So they're on an 8 or a 9.
8 or 9, and so the
Argonaut is going to have a transit event. So we got a 1 and a 9. He's probably going to be spotted also. Your hand's in the way, but yeah, it's just spotted. So that doesn't matter. So now the question is for the Tautog is, do we want to hunt in the Marshall Islands or do we want to go to like the Marianas? Because we can move 1 space.
I think the Marshalls.
I think we should give this a shot. I mean, we're gonna encounter something on anything other than a 0.
We have the same likelihood of seeing something.
Yes.
The density won't be quite as great.
Yeah. All right. So we are on the. We get a 1, so it's green, and 6 is probably a C2.
C2.
So we got a green C2, which is 3-2-1-1. So again, just like I remain in awe of this. Bink. Love it. Wow, that is.
I'm going to suggest maybe we slide over here.
I think that's exactly what we do. That is a fascinating setup for sure. We definitely got to go aggressive. So I'll
point out one other thing that I did in the mod. This was after some playing. Is these no TDC markers? They auto flip because they add color
to
the story.
Right.
But when they weren't flipped, I never flipped them because I didn't care enough. So now I tend to read them.
So that ship is just too close to get a shot at.
Too close.
Too close. All right.
Now I'm going aggressive only because it doesn't help us in terms of turning over more, but I want the -1.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we found that in Silent War 2, going aggressive a lot is kind of important to get the targets with this terrible torpedo.
I think it's your only good option.
Like, I can't imagine how we'd have done without it. Okay.
All right, I'm flipping.
Yep. Oh God, hospital ship.
You don't want to sink the hospital
ship.
Yeah,
we learned that. You don't want to sink the hospital ship. Well,
it's not that the only negative, if you got a super skipper, he's out of here. But it's just really bad juju.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We don't want to. I don't want to end up in Geneva after the war. Oh,
I like that,
I
though.
like that though. All right, so
God,
yeah.
this is where I wish we could split our torpedoes.
Well, here's the interesting thing. We can actually look at what it would look like, because the good news is they're the exact same thing, right? Ship defense is 1. TDC, let's look at the -3. Posture, column. So we have 3 or less to hit this guy, which means we have 2 or less to hit this guy.
I almost feel like we just said you can't split them, and I feel like we should split them.
I think we should split them. I think we should absolutely split them. All right, so one thing we've also done, I just want to note, which isn't like, didn't require any scripting, but we put these 4 dice on the combat table. So what we tend to do is, like, this is the to hit die, this is the damage die, this is any counterattack, and this is endurance. So we just roll them all at once, and it just really speeds things up really nicely. But this time, all we got to do is roll these 2, because there's no ASW on the board, so we have no counterattack.
Going over here.
Yeah, start on the left. Well, good God.
What a terrible first roll. However, I'm glad we didn't waste all 6.
Yeah, so that was they were there. So
What
now
was that
one was actually 2 or less. So now we have to add the endurance die, because we got to find out if we go home or not.
We have a no. This isn't a reattack yet. This is just a sec.
Good point. Good point.
This is where next attack actually comes in play, but we don't need to reset everything.
Right. All right. So come on, we can do better than that. Oh, baby.
We did do better than that.
All right. So this is cool. We get to show off what is my favorite part of this entire module, which is, okay, so we sank this 2-ton merchant ship. Now, unlike what you would do in the physical game, we actually drag it to this very cool spot here that says sunk this combat. And the reason we do that is when you do that, it actually adds notebooks that tell you, like, give you the story of your game. So you can see we have a 2-ton merchant sunk by the Tautog. And we'll come back to this later. If there's name ships, they'll be named in here, right? This is, I mean, dude, this is like my favorite thing that you did in this thing. I'm so impressed by this. It is so cool.
That one turned it into a story.
And the best part, and I don't know if this is the best part, but in our shakedown cruise yesterday, we literally in 3 turns, we learned that my ability to track tonnage was shitty. So we stopped tracking tonnage over here on this.
I'll go do it real quick.
Yeah, but I got I got off. And so,
let me check. Yeah. Oh no, that's wrong.
And so not only is there there's one for each month, but there's also one for the campaign. So the campaign just includes ship sunk and ton sunk, but you can literally just look at this and look at what happened every month. So impressed. It's my favorite thing about this. I'm absolutely in love with that. Because if we do end up doing like a version of this for really to tell the story, that's how you tell the story, right? I mean, it's just that. Okay. Exactly. So we're going to reattack, clearly.
We are. Now the biggest question
real quickly, I'm going to note that so there's a next attack button, which would be if you had 2 subs, right?
Or quite honestly, what we just did, but in our case, we didn't need it because the ships had the same exact stuff.
Right.
If we hit next attack and they weren't over a column,
it would clear some stuff out. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Reattack is what we're going to do, though. And so that's going to basically clean. It's going to take the TDC markers off. It adds this -1. We get this -1 for reattack. And now, yeah, I'm with you. We have an interesting decision, which is, do we just take the 2 tons? We just try to take the 2 tons, or do we move over and risk these guys?
I think we stay.
I'm feeling lucky.
And we're moving.
I think we should move over 1. This is going to work out. Because the problem is then we're so dependent on one good TDC pull.
Yeah, at least he's in our column. But
yeah,
I'm a little nervous here. But flip him.
Yeah, flip him. All right, that's not terrible.
Not terrible.
Oh, that's good.
Oh.
Okay, so we got to roll for combat.
This I never know about. So we got a combat event.
4.
I don't know that one off the top.
And some of the charts that we're looking at here probably aren't actually in the copy that'll be available.
Mechanical trouble ends attack.
Oh no!
Roll the die. Well, roll the die. Well, the attacks don't.
Even.
The chief engineer fixes the problem, places submarine in the done section. It does not have to roll on the endurance table.
All right. Well, I mean,
I feel like we actually got a little lucky.
I'll take it. A two-ton patrol. I'll take it. Yep. And then I'm gonna hit clean up, and it'll clean up all those counters, which is really
correct.
Cool.
Now, what I'll point out is if there are named units or IJN units, they do end up in this bag up at the top.
Right. They get taken out of the game.
Since that was a generic unit, it just goes back in the mix.
Right. Yeah. Name things get taken out of the game because you can't sink the Kaga twice.
Correct. Now,
with our torpedoes, we can't sink it once.
It's true. The other thing, though, I'll point out is the more generic units, the silent war units. Like I mentioned at the beginning, the Akagi, if it's drawn, can pull from the IJN chits 2 units.
Right.
So the silent war Akagi will go to the sunk bag after both of the IJN units are gone.
Got it. Right.
Only when both of them.
Got it.
But it is really important when people are using this that the only way all this is going to work in terms of the sunk units going where they need to go and the log is if you put the sunk units onto this map.
Yeah. Trust me, it's worth the tiny little bit of extra effort. But it's better. I mean, it's better than like just putting it. Yeah. Otherwise we were just dragging them over here. So yeah, just drag them a little farther.
And then the other thing, as a reminder, not that you really want to be able to or have to do this, but if you drag your sunk sub there, that goes into the log.
Right.
And the sub will move out of the game too. So.
Yeah. But we won't.
But you'll at least have a log.
We're not going to have any sunk subs, so we're fine.
It never happens.
Never happened.
We didn't lose a bunch of subs to transit events.
No, that never happened. It's so bad that I literally went and did the math because I was like, how likely is it to lose a sub from a transit event?
It's very unlikely.
And it turned out, we had some really bad fortune. All right, so that is then the end of the turn. I mean, technically, if we had any subs out here, like we'd flip guys when we're returning to base, we'd do spot. Oh no, sorry, you're right.
It's the end of the patrol.
Right.
But.
Right, we got to send these guys out. And so I'll just shorthand this. We've developed a little bit of a system here, which is crap subs, which in this scenario is anything that isn't a T pretty much. We send all of our crap subs to the Gilberts down here, where they're not going to face a lot of anti-submarine warfare. And we let them just go to town down there in the Gilberts. So let's move. What do we got? The Dolphin. And let's see. Where is the
3 of them there?
Stat content. So we got the Dolphin, the Pompano, and the Plunger. So we'll do the first 2 first there because they're going through this. So they got on a 9, they get a transit event.
Whew.
Neither one gets a transit event. So
first 2 made it.
And we just set them to their patrol side because they're going to patrol right there. And then where do we want to send the Dolphin? Because I can roll 2 dice at a time.
Oops.
Should we send the Dolphin to the Marshals? Dolphin to the Marshals as well? Sorry, not the Dolphin. I'm sorry. The Gudgeon.
Did you roll 3 die?
I only rolled 2.
Roll 1 more to see if the.
Well, what I was going to do is figure out where we want to send the Gudgeon, and then we'll.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah. I think we just send him to the Marshals as well. We'll patrol with, let's send him to the North Pacific because then if we, depending on Ultra, we have somebody in each.
That's true. That's true. Yep. Now we're going to the Hawaiian, so an 8 or a 9 is a transit.
So this guy is going to be our blue die. Gudgeon is going to be our blue die. Doesn't matter.
Both of them.
Doesn't matter.
Just.
Right. So now they end up there, and so now that we, if we were here, we'd flip guys with RTB.
We'll have that. Trust me.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
So that is then the end of week 3, and we move on to week 4. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you're enjoying the video, the series, and the channel. Definitely, if you are, it'd be great. Leave comments with suggestions for games that you would like to see come to the channel or improvements that we can make to the channel. But we will see you in the next video on Agility Snips Gaming Table.